It isn't echoing for us.
All right. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukakaroti Vachalam Pangoram Gayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramanandamadavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Nami Samacharya Padaya Nitai Kripapradayani Gaurakata Damadaya Nagaragram Tarini Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Can you hear me? Hare Krishna.
Yes, we can hear you. Hare Krishna.
Is the audio all right? It's not echoing, right?
There was a sort of, I don't know if it's echoing, but there was a thick sound, so maybe that's echoing. But it's not too bad. We can't hear you now.
Okay.
It's not too bad. I'll tell you if it's not good.
Okay. So today we are studying a summary of so far where we have come. I thought it's especially important to kind of go over some of the main points that we've been studying. When we think of first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there are these two titles that comes up: observing the armies or Arjuna's lamentation. So we will go deeper into like a whole bigger summary of what we've been discussing. Here there is one section of Duryodhana in us. Actually, there's for those of you who like, I will try to post a link below. There's a video of me in South Africa. I spoke about this Duryodhana in us. There's a whole lecture about it to deal with that Duryodhana side of us. So the first section goes, this is the first chapter. At Kurukshetra, Duryodhana is shaken on seeing the formidable military formation of the Pandavas and approaches Drona, one of his teachers, guru, key generals. And he is speaking to Drona while simultaneously addressing others nearby. He does a comparative assessment of two armies, seeking to motivate both himself and his forces. So here we see that analysis now from both sides. Duryodhana is doing his analysis, and I want to read this. Again, this is analysis of how Duryodhana analyzes it. This is in the words of Sanjaya, but in a poetic way. Your son Duryodhana strutted out to scout the battlefield and shouted out to his teachers doubts with attitude and zeal. Our enemies have fighters, said your double-talking son, as awesome as Arjuna, and he named them one by one. However, he continued, we have Bhishma in command, and our clan has the upper hand, we'll plant them in the sand. So for Duryodhana, the mentality is that of overconfidence, right? The Duryodhana is the mentality of insecurity coming out as pride, as overconfidence, as ways to kind of comfort himself by using others. When he says, Mamaka Pandavas, no, not the first verse, when Duryodhana says, they have all come to give up their lives for my sake. So that's Duryodhana's mentality. That he wants to use people for his comfort, to make himself good. That's the Duryodhana in me. The Duryodhana in me is constantly thinking, who is an obstacle to my pleasure? Who is an obstacle to my desires? And how do I uproot them? How do I put people in this, like he says, plant them in the sand? So his mood is like, whoever obstacles my plans, my pleasures, I'll get rid of them. That's the Duryodhana mentality. And so, I mean, we've discussed what we discussed earlier in the sessions about emotions shortly. Before that, let's see how the contrast, okay? Let's study how Arjuna is observing and reacting. So this is Arjuna's observation, and as a result of that observation, lamentation. Against the run of play, Arjuna desires to see who have joined the evil Duryodhana and requests Krishna to take his chariot between the two armies. So the numbers that you see there is the verse numbers, is chapter 124 verse, like that. And then we see from that central vantage point, he sees his vulnerable elders, Bhishma and Drona, prominent among many relatives, spanning several generations, contemplating the impending fraternal war. Arjuna loses his composure, deciding that being killed without fighting is better than killing relatives for wealth. Arjuna casts aside his bow in a dramatic demonstration of his refusal to fight. So we are seeing the same emotions, similar emotions of insecurity, of doubt, of confusion, of attachment. But Arjuna's reactions are quite contradictory to that of Duryodhana. That doesn't mean that Duryodhana was less powerful than Arjuna, or it's not that Arjuna was insecure about the army. It's something else. So similarly, in our lives, we might feel overconfident in a situation, and we do this, meaning we point fingers at others and say, they are responsible for my unhappiness, just like Duryodhana did. And we forget that when we point this finger, we actually know we three fingers pointing at us. So that's the consciousness. Whereas Arjuna, Prabhupada explains that Arjuna was compassionate. He was a devotee. He was actually looking at this tree pointed. But the problem is, even in that vision of Arjuna, there is lamentation, there is regret, there is guilt, there is shame. So we're going to summarize and see how emotions, there are negative emotions and positive emotions. And we are seeing, obviously in this, we're seeing regret, hate, fear, anger, shame, guilt, sadness. We see all these emotions both in Duryodhana and Arjuna. So the purpose is not that we don't, like one of the discussions, Deepa, you were here, I remember, we discussed about, it's not that we manage our emotions. We cannot manage our emotions. We don't have that power to manage our emotions, but we can manage the response to the way we feel. Okay, so in that is where Mahabharata, the scale, the whole difference between the Duryodhana in me and Arjuna in me, it comes up. Doesn't matter. Am I regretful? Okay, that is what it is. That's the truth. I can't control that. I cannot control that. But I can act like Duryodhana. And Duryodhana is basically, what is he doing? He's acting from overconfidence. He's trying to use people. So he's basically, Hare Krishna Sulakshana, welcome. So Duryodhana is basically losing it, but it appears to be like he's got it all in control, right? What was we read it there in this one? We'll plant them in the sand. I really like that particular sentence. It's like, I'll fix these people, I'll get rid of somebody, I'll get rid of this problem, and then I'll be happy or whatever. But then Arjuna, we see he does have fear, he does have anger, he does have shame, he does have guilt. And you may be wondering, um, does really Arjuna have guilt and shame and fear? I think I'm frozen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. So I may come back and
Can I
forth.
interrupt?
I'm sorry?
It's all right. Carry on. Carry on.
Okay.
Sorry.
I may come back to this slide, especially to come back to the positive emotions. But I'll just say one sentence before I move to the next slide. It doesn't mean if I'm regretful, if I feel hatred, if I feel fear, if I feel anger or shame, guilt, sadness, or all of it, it doesn't mean that I cannot feel love, pride, empathy, hope, happiness. It does not mean that. And especially I want to add another word, devotion, there in the positive section. So that's what happened to Arjuna. The connection was surrender, and he was able to trust. That's another, like a linking emotion, trust and surrender. So the main point I want to say is, who says that I'm entitled to always feel happy and joyful? Who says that? You know, who says I'm not supposed to feel fear or anger or shame or guilt? It is part of being human. And that's what brings the whole Bhagavad Gita is so beautiful, because it brings two characters with the same emotions, but the way they manage their emotions is completely different. So Arjuna is okay. Krishna is okay with Arjuna feeling those negative emotions. Just like when I feel negative emotions, Krishna doesn't have a problem with me. He's not insecure. So we touched upon these things, and the favorite verse that stood for us in this study group was Arpanya dosho pahata svabhavah prachami pam dharma samura cheta yachreyasyan nishchitam bruhi tanne shishyasteham sadimam tvam prapanna. I think I put that verse in the text. I'm trying to look for that verse. Sorry. No, I didn't. Then we need to read that verse. So Arjuna is accepting his powerlessness. He is accepting his miserliness. So, our insignificant dilemmas and okay, this is the play of words. Our insignificant dilemmas and our significant connection to Krishna. So the truth is, the dilemmas of Arjuna, we as the third person, when we observe Mahabharata and when we observe the battlefield, it's like, come on, Arjuna, why are you in this dilemma? Krishna is with you. He wants you to fight, just go fight, right? That's what comes to our mind when we look at Arjuna in that condition. But it's not so simple. Just like when we have issues in our life, it seems like the whole world, right? There's one problem. Somebody didn't message me in time. And then I make that, I connect that message to my sense of self-worth, my sense of value. I mean, I can go on and on what I do, but we all have our own demons under our bed. And so the demons under my bed is I start to connect my sense of identity with that. And for somebody outside observer, it's an insignificant dilemma. Why do you think this person, who do I think I am that this person should respond to me in time? Right? The second thing, I may mess up, I may make mistakes. This is something this is a two-sided coin. One side, why should I expect that somebody should treat me better than they are? Who do I think I am? Like Arjuna may be thinking, why didn't Bhishma and Drona and Duryodhana behave better? Actually, that's what Krishna says in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam to Uddhava, that when Yudhishthir was losing you guys one by one, sorry, not you guys, he was telling Uddhava that when Yudhishthir was losing his brothers and his kingdom and his wife and everybody one by one, Duryodhana was rejoicing his victory when Yudhishthir lost. Bhima and Nakula and Sahadeva were lost, and Bhima was lost, and Arjuna was lost. And Arjuna, Krishna says, you're asking me, Uddhava, why I didn't go to save them. You know, they were all standing there and lamenting that this is because of Duryodhana, it's because Bhishma is not doing anything, Drona is not doing anything. So again, you remember the pointing the finger. So Krishna says, they weren't inviting me to go and help them. So I was forced to not go. So this is our condition. Our insignificant dilemmas they have a place. But the point is, am I connecting to that significant thing in my life, which is Krishna? Through those dilemmas, like, I mean, a couple of days ago, I had some issues going on. I was feeling so ungrounded. And what I did is I just picked up Bhagavad Gita and I just opened a verse. You know, magic always works. Opened the verse. And then, of course, Krishna told me what I needed to hear. It was like a slap on my face. Here I am. Like, Krishna is like, you're forgetting me. Those, you know, that verse, the verse came up about those who see me everywhere and everything in me, I'm never lost to them and they're never lost to me. And then I was like, oh my God, that's my problem. I'm not seeing Krishna. I'm thinking me. I'm not seeing Krishna. And then, of course, only if I can accept. See, in this comparison, we are seeing Arjuna coming to that point of saying this verse, Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam, until he goes and he kneels down and surrenders to Krishna and hands over the regret and the hatred and the fear and the anger and the shame and the guilt and the sadness and the confusion. I can go on and on. He handed all that over to Krishna and he stopped speculating. Oh, Varna Shankara will happen. Unwanted children will be born after the war. Oh, and this will happen. And because of this, the blood of my relatives will be tainted in my hands. How can I conquer the kingdom and sit on the throne and everything will be lost? How can I even enjoy a kingdom? Right? Arjuna went on and on and on. This will happen and that will happen. This consequence. And I'll feel this. They'll feel this. And Krishna just stood there. Okay, go on with your blah, 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 blah. You know, when I journal, that's what I feel. I know this is blah, 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 Krishna, but I'm handing over my blah, blah, blah to you because my connection to Krishna is significant, even if my dilemmas are insignificant. And then comes the acceptance. Then we become open to see Krishna's hand. So yeah, this is the major summary, that we cannot manage our emotions. Emotions are part of human experience. We will have negative emotions, but negative emotions do not cancel out the possibility of trusting Krishna, of devoting our lives to Krishna, of surrendering to Krishna. In fact, it's the opposite. Those same negative emotions can actually be a bridge, can actually be the instrument for me to surrender to Krishna. So the goal of life is not developing great qualities and becoming a great person, powerful and strong and tolerant. The goal of life is to develop attachment to Krishna through our emotions. And I must say, my frustrations, my depression, my powerlessness, even my resentments can bring us closer to Krishna, and it has for me. And it took me a long time to accept that. I used to think I'm not supposed to have these emotions. No, Arjuna had it. We have it. But
So,
how
Radha
we,
Govind, you're saying that knowing your weakness
yeah,
can bring you closer to Krishna.
accepting our weakness. Usually, knowing our weakness can make us more depressed.
Mm.
See, knowing it is like, oh, I did this and I did that mistake, and
Yeah.
I looked like a fool, and this happened, and then I could give power to what happened and my weakness. So we are not saying that we should give power to our weakness. That's exactly what Arjuna didn't do. He didn't give power to his weakness. He gave his power to Krishna.
And Duryodhan couldn't do that.
No, he never accepted his weaknesses.
Yeah.
That's the
He
major
probably never
theme.
knew. Did he
That's the
know?
major theme, right? Duryodhan did not accept his emotions. He was, all these things, right? He was feeling hatred and fear and insecurity and anger, and probably also shame and guilt because of, it's all hidden. And he wasn't accessing them. He was suppressing them. He was pushing it down and down and down.
So Radha Govinda, does that mean that he was all negative?
Pretty much. He was trying to compensate his insecurities with so-called appearing confidence and pride and all that. He was compensating it. So sometimes we do that. We compensate our lack with what appears to be acceptable in the society, but we are not recognizing that actually what I'm feeling is fear. And then it appears like I'm proud or I'm angry, like that. Yes, Khushbu, welcome. And you have a comment or a question?
I have a question. So can I ask?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask that you said we should surrender to Krishna, whatever we are feeling, or we should accept our weakness. And we just should say whatever weakness we have, we should accept it and we should say it to Krishna. So even when we just realize, okay, this is my weakness, so or I accept it also and I say it to Krishna and then just leave it on him. So does it doesn't mean that sometimes we don't take any step or any action because Arjun took the step. But sometimes when we accept, I think that how can we differentiate? Maybe we accept, but we just procrastinate the things. We don't take action. We just say, okay, I realize this is my mistake. This is my weakness. Okay, I hand it over to Krishna. Done. Is it so, or how can we know that okay now this is the time I need to take action?
Yeah, very good question. Um, I often think about it. If if any of you have your input about this question, please you can raise your hand or comment or whatever. Um, one important realization I've had is the truth is I don't have the power to take action. I don't. Because if I had that power, I wouldn't be in the situation I am in. And even then, Krishna doesn't have a problem with me. The connection to Krishna is not determined by whether we do the perfect thing or not. I want to show you this. I just read this before the study today. Let me show you this quote. This is Prabhupada speaking about Arjuna. It's perfect answer to your question, actually. Okay, I found it. Anybody would like to read it?
It's not there. Vilash Manjari?
Yeah, Deepa?
Yeah, you can read it if you like.
No, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'm hearing only.
Oh. Shall I give it a go then?
Yeah, anybody.
Okay. Kalpanya dosa. Kalpanya dosha means a miserly man. Miserly man. He was conscious of the fact that he was a great hero. He was a great fighter. And at the same time, the enemies were there. So his actual duty was to fight with the enemy. They were offering fight. For a Kshatriya, there are some obligations. If somebody challenges that, I want to fight with you, a Kshatriya cannot deny. If somebody challenges, yes, I want to bet with you, gambling, a Kshatriya cannot deny. And for that reason, the Pandavas lost their kingdom. The other side, his cousins offered them that, all right, let us come to betting. So betting, the bid was that they offered the kingdom. Now, if you, I mean to say, defeated, if you are defeated, then you lose your kingdom. So they lost their kingdom. Then the next offer was that if you are defeated, you lost your wife. So they lost their wife. And similarly, they were put, now this time, if you are defeated, you have to go to the forest for 12 years. So there was a great plan behind them. And the Pandavas were defeated in so many ways, and they were harassed, embarrassed for not less than 20 years. And now they were to fight face to face. Now he is not preparing to fight. That means he has become miserly, meaning he is deviating from his duty now. So he is conscious that practically I am deviating from my duty. Kalpanya dosha. This is my miserly behavior. Dosha. Dosha means it is a fault on my part. I should not have deviated from this fighting. But my sentiment does not allow me to fight with my kinsman. So here is the perplexity. So kalpanya dosha pahata sabhava dharma saramundha chitaya. Bhagavad Gita 2:7. Not only am I miserly, but I am deviating from my duty, dharma. Dharma.
Thank you, Deepa.
Thank you.
I'm
I don't know if
again,
it's miserly or measly. I don't know.
miserly.
Thank you.
I mean, this is the perfect answer. There's so much in this, you know.
Mm.
Let's look at the first paragraph. See, for a Kshatriya, there are some obligations. For us, for Deepa, for Khushbu, for Vilas Manjari, for Sulakshana Gopi, for Sujata, each of us have different obligations in our life. And, you know, just like in the case of Arjuna, he could not refuse. He could not just refuse and say, I'm not going to play dice game with you. It was like Kshatriya had to accept that fight. And Arjuna never said, why did they accept gamble match? You know what he said to Uddhava? He said, when Shakuni wanted to play on behalf of Duryodhan, why didn't Yudhishthir say, Krishna is going to play on my behalf? Can you imagine the result if I played against Shakuni? Krishna asks. So the point is, nobody is saying that we shouldn't do our obligations, right? And sometimes we cannot do. We are feeling powerless and we feel stuck. Say we have to serve our relatives. And, you know, I'm telling you, it's very austere to be with non-devotee parents and relatives. It's very austere, but it's an obligation. And while doing that obligation, there will be certain irritability. There will be certain disappointments, frustrations, even some mistakes on our part, right? So, like Khushbu was asking, but we are supposed to do A, B, and C, right? Like Krishna was supposed to be called. Why he didn't call? Okay, didn't happen. Next, because of not calling, Pandavas lost their kingdom. And then Prabhupada is saying, and the bidding was going on. One thing is they lost the kingdom. Hare Krishna, right? We lose some wealth. Okay, Hare Krishna. Come on, he started losing his brothers one by one. Okay, even then. And then Prabhupada says, the next offer is if you're defeated, you lose your wife. Oh my God. It's like, and even then, they didn't call Krishna. They didn't say, Krishna, please come and help us. They kept lamenting, right? Even then, they didn't. And similarly, they were put into circumstances they had to go to the forest. So the point is, it can happen to us. We have a certain set of obligations. I'm supposed to get up, I'm supposed to study, I'm supposed to finish my dental exam, I'm supposed to become a dentist, I'm supposed to take care of my patients. But sometimes there are mistakes. There are some patients, I'm sure they are bad, aggressive, right? They get on our, yeah.
Does that mean they basically were doing their dharma, and so they didn't need to call Krishna because they were doing their dharma, right?
No, that's not what Krishna says. Krishna never says that. Krishna says they didn't call me. The point was not any of the decisions. The thing was, he didn't ask me help. Okay, let's finish this and then we'll discuss the main point of this answer. Okay, so yes, Khushbu, sometimes we're supposed to do A, B, and C, but we do X, Y, and Z, and then we end up in the forest for some 16 years, not 16, 12 years. And then, so Pandavas were defeated in many ways. And then they were embarrassed for not less than 20 years. And now is the chance, right? Face to face, the battle with the Kauravas who snatched the hair of Draupadi and dragged her into the assembly. And Duryodhana asked her to sit on his lap. And this same Duryodhana who literally stole their Indraprastha, they embarrassed them, left them homeless, literally homeless. And a Kshatriya has got a chance to chop off the head of that person who did it. And what does Prabhupada say? Now he is not prepared to fight. It's like, what? What? That means he has become miserly. So sometimes in our life, when we make one mistake and then two mistakes, and then we start becoming sad, and that negativity sits in us, and then we become morose and we give up that hope in our life. And then when opportunity comes by, I mean, this happens to a lot of people. When the good opportunity, good service, good job comes by, we become miserly. Or good relationship comes by. Say we had bad relationship experience. Then a good man comes around. We're not ready. We're not ready. We become miserly. And then Prabhupada is saying, means he is deviating from his duty. So now he is conscious. See, that's the ta-da moment. Ding, temple bell ringing moment. Practically, I am deviating from my duty. Arjuna is able to recognize, Krishna, I know this is my duty. I'm supposed to, whatever it is, take care of my relatives by killing them, right? In Arjuna's case. But I'm deviating. I'm not able to put my mind there. And Karpanya dosha, this is my miserly behavior. Dosha means it's a fault on my part. I mean, who doesn't have that? I've got a library of it. Dosha is fault on my part. I should not have deviated from the fighting, but this is the key answer for your question, Khushbu. I should not have deviated from this fight, but my sentiment does not allow me to fight with my kinsmen. So this is the perplexity. Not only I am miserly, but I'm deviating from my duty. and I'm feeling helpless. I know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't have the strength to do it. I'm struggling. So what do? We hold Krishna's lotus feet and ask him to pick us up. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Because usually the culture is, we are told, you're supposed to do this. You're a woman, you're supposed to be A, B, and C, and you're a professional, and you're supposed to do A, B, and C. And why are you not doing it? It's your fault, right? Yeah, but that's not the way we get on the right track. We get on the right track by saying that verse. Karpanyadosho pahata svabhava prachami tvam dharma sammuda cheta yacheyasya nishitam bruyitan me shishyasteham sadimam tvam prapannam. Means I'm letting go of all the negativity, everything. I'm not holding on to it. I'm not giving it power. I am not suppressing it. I'm not denying it. I'm not beating myself up for not being perfect. I'm not telling myself I'm supposed to do this, and I'm not doing. And therefore, I condemn myself and I put myself into depression. I mean, am I saying something strange, or we all experience that?
No,
So
we
somehow means that we should accept our emotions. We should not suppress it, but also we have to remember that actually we are not our emotions and thought. We are separate from that,
Absolutely.
right? Now?
And therefore, but it's still affecting me. So what do? I call Krishna because he's waiting at the door. I've entered the gamble match. I'm gambling one by one things, right? I'm losing my kingdom. I'm losing my property. I'm losing relationships. I'm losing things one by one. But Krishna's waiting at the door. What do I usually do? I made a mistake. I lost this and I lost that. This was so stupid of me. Why didn't I remember this? Why didn't I remember that? You know, there's only one thing we need to remember, Krishna. You know the quote, right? There's the big thing. Always remember Krishna, never forget him.
It's
If
like
we
when
remember,
Draupadi calls Krishna for help, then Krishna immediately comes, right?
exactly.
And that surrender, I sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's too difficult. Sometimes I try, I need to surrender, but nahi ho pata, you know.
Of course. Yeah, that's why the helplessness and powerlessness, it helps us because it makes us let me show you this next section of the summary. Are you ready for some rap? So that's when you see when Arjuna was lamenting, oh my God, and this and that, but actually only when he could come to this point of, okay, Krishna, here I am, I'm your disciple. Only then, now when we become open to Krishna taking over and not just sit there lamenting. So this is the summary, just quickly reading about it. When Arjuna sat there, very sad, Krishna asks him, why are you copying out Arjuna? What's that going to do? Besides make you look gutless and bring karma down on you. It's too bizarre to come this far and then to fall apart. Arjuna, stand and fight right now and let the battle start. And then Arjuna goes, right? You want me to fight loved ones. Don't you know that if I do, I'd kill grandfather Bhishma and my teacher Drona too. I'd rather be a beggar than the killer of my clan. Their boss is Wayne, but if they're slain, their blood will stain my hands. I'm too confused to choose. Should I confront them or give in? As dumb as they may be, how can I come to kill these? Oh, maybe I should make this better. Sorry. And even if I ruled the earth as demigods rule heaven, I do it as a clueless fool who's drowning in depression. Each way I lose, I'm so confused. I need some help from you. Just take me as an empty slate and tell me what to do. Actually, that's the Karpanya Dosha Pahata Swabhava verse translation in a poetic way. It's just
Very
that
nice.
I'm so confused to choose. Right? That's each way I lose. There are some decisions in our life like that. If I do this, they're going to be upset. If I don't do this, I'll be very selfish. If I do this, this person is going to hate me. If I do that, I'll hate myself. There's always that. Each way I lose. I'm so confused. I need some help from you. Just take me as an empty slate and tell me what to do. See, that's the key to make ourselves the empty slate. We don't have to remember anything. We just have to remember Krishna. I'm your
Radha Govinda,
Go ahead.
I always get puzzled here because I never know when it's kind of my responsibility and Krishna wants me to take that responsibility, or do I just give everything over to Krishna?
Yeah. That in that moment we ask Krishna for help. It's the same prayer. Krishna,
That's what I'm doing.
I don't have the intelligence to distinguish if this is something I need to work on or if it's something you need to do. Please give me a clue. Please help me. So, each way we lose, whether we make this decision or that. The only way we can win is to choose Krishna.
So basically, don't do it alone. Always do it
We are
with
not
Krishna.
alone. We don't have to struggle alone.
Mm. Mm. Well, that's comforting, isn't it?
It is actually.
It's
See,
very
that's
nice.
the secret. We don't have to struggle the way I see until, like you see, Arjuna in the drama of his trauma and his flight, some further and said, Govinda, no, I cannot fight. Arjuna dropped his bow as Krishna, showing his mystique, smiled slightly at the sullen soul and then began to speak. So as long as Arjuna was thinking, if I do this, this will happen. If I don't do this, that other thing will happen. And then yet he was waiting for 20 years to take this Duryodhana off the earth, right? He was waiting. But then he got into this stuckness. And that's the struggle. But the truth is, we don't need to take it. It's just up to Krishna. And then, Krishna, okay, let's read what Krishna says, right? This is verses 11 to 25. Such attitudes and platitudes are pouring from your head. But cooler people never blame the living nor the dead. Each one of us have lived before a countless flow of lives, and each of us will live forever. Spirit never dies. Our body is marked from young to old to dead, and then we leave to take another body as the mindful souls perceive. As winter turns to summer, so a bummer becomes joy. Sorry. But wiser, I don't know if that text is here. Sorry, I missed it and it's here with me. But wiser dudes are never moved by things they can't avoid. When you can tolerate both tribulation and elation, you're stable and enabled to just savor liberation. An honest look at life makes seers of the truth proclaim. The mundane plane does not remain, but the spirit stays the same. The spirit permeates the flesh, it's permanent and whole, and no one can diminish or destroy the deathless soul. The inner soul continues while the outer body ends. So why are you uptight about this fight, my learned friend? So this fight represents everything in our life that we don't like to do. We don't want to do. We are too afraid of the consequences. If I do this, that will happen, and this will happen. But ultimately, we leave it up to Krishna, and we do what it's very powerful. This prayer, Krishna, may your will and not mine be done. Krishna, may I use my strength and my enthusiasm and my service for your sake, not for my sake, not to satisfy my senses, for your senses. If we just pray like this, it's like opening that door. Krishna is waiting at the door. We open that door. And yes, still mistakes can happen. Still insults could happen. Thank you, Sulakshana, for joining. It was so nice to see you. Have a good program.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Go on. Yeah. And then, of course, Arjuna goes on and on. I mean, Krishna goes on and on about waking Arjuna up and telling him these things. There's nothing to lament. Okay, this is my favorite part. Oh, where is it? Here. This part. It's kind of cheesy of Krishna to say this, right? Okay, this is what he says here. Look at this sentence here. Trivial tears, right? He says, what's the point? Why are you crying? And then he says, oh my God, what's happening? Okay, the lament, that's the word here. And even if the body's death could end, the soul's existence means you say, let's say we'll never live after this lifetime, everything is over. You still would have no reason for resentment and resistance. So he's saying, if all these people are going to die, and you're responsible, and death is everything, what's there to lament? It's like same thing, right? We think, what if I don't choose this, and if I choose that, and that happens, and this happens, and we usually go there. But the point is, if that happens, there's nothing to lament. If this happens, there's nothing to lament, because the point is, Krishna is saying, point is me. I'm the only permanent thing. Everything else is temporary. My friend, no man or weapon can annihilate the soul. Forget your foolish fears and let your needless weeping go. This is something really like, forget your foolish fears and let your needless weeping go. This is what I do every day. Needless weeping. Oh, I'm the doer. I can't mess this up. I shouldn't be doing this. I should control this. I should get my life together. I should get my sadhana together. And Krishna is like, forget.
Radha Govinda, even when you know that you're putting Krishna at the center, that you have actually thought it through and you prayed, and that you still feel that you still feel like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is such a shame, really, because if you in your heart, if you know that you've given it over, but that means it is not fully over. One day it will be fully over.
Yeah, and it's fine. It's fine. I'm not perfect. It's fine. I make mistakes.
Yes, I hear that. Yeah.
Instead of crying and saying, I didn't get this right, even this time I didn't learn my lesson.
Yeah.
Needless weeping. Let it go. Let the needless weeping go. Forget your foolish fears and let your needless weeping go.
And so when it's very hard to do that, that's Maya, right?
When it's very hard to let the needless weeping go.
Yeah.
Well, see, Krishna's kind. The thing is, we struggle. Okay, I'll give you an example. Somebody was sharing with me about how they're unable to do their spiritual duties because of their material entanglements, okay? Such as taking care of certain family members. And it feels like a waste of time for this person because they enjoy spiritual things more. Now, it's very easy to stand as an outsider and just say to that person, come on, even serving somebody is spiritual, do it. But when we are in that circumstance, we don't like to do it because we don't derive pleasure from it. You see, it's like if Arjuna was told, go, kill Bhishma, kill Drona, it's the pleasure in it. But the point is not how we feel. The point is what Krishna wants from me. So as you said exactly, sometimes we can't let that needless weeping go. That weeping, that needless weeping sometimes is necessary for us to realize that it's needless. It's necessary. I can't skip that. I need that needless weeping. I need that needless weeping to help me to surrender. So the thing is, being in the comfort zone of doing what I like to do is not always what Krishna wants me to do. What appears to be a spiritual decision may not be what Krishna wants me to do. Because, look at Arjuna, right? How can it be spiritual to kill your own teacher and your grandfather? How? How? It's impossible.
It's actually really hard to I'm sure everybody feels that, but it's hard to digest that.
It's very hard. And
Very,
nobody is holding a gun to our head and asking us to shoot the arrow and kill our grandfather. For God's sake, thank God. Nobody is asking us that. But sometimes we are asked to accompany our family members to I'm just hoping my husband is not listening. Accompanying family members to a isolated village where your house arrest and for treatment and whatnot, right? Sometimes it's obviously not what I would like to do. I'd like to be free and travel and do fun stuff. But sometimes there are certain obligations. So again, nobody's asking me to go out on the battlefield and kill somebody. I have to just kill my comfort. I have to kill my need for that, what I call freedom, to do preaching or to do certain activities or study or go and preach in this university and this and that. And I have to come here and be in this secluded place and assist my husband in his recovery. Hare Krishna. If I let that acceptance, embrace it and accept it, beautiful things can happen, because it's not about external, it's about the internal dialogue and the significant connection with Krishna. Whether I'm in Mayapur or whether I'm here in Tamil Nadu in a secluded, isolated place, it doesn't matter. That significant connection with Krishna remains. Anyway, I don't know if I'm making sense. If anybody wants to share, go ahead. There is something on the chat by Sujata. But people are very judgmental and don't make it easy to let go. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a huge one. Indians love to gossip about things that happened years ago to someone, even if they moved on. And that is the only thing they define that person by. Like a very one-dimensional way of seeing someone. That's so true. There's this example, right? So there was this child who, a neighbor child, would come around and pass urine in front of the neighbor's house. So that neighbor saw this little child baby coming naked and passing urine in front of the house. The baby was like, 8-9 months old, crawling and coming in, very small baby. Then the child grew up, started going to school. So the neighbor would say, oh my God, he's going to school. I can't believe he was coming in front of my house and passing urine, And that child, it grows up and becomes a very good, intelligent debate speaker, and he wins the national prize. And the neighbor goes, yeah, but this kid was just coming in front of my house and passing urine. How did he win a debate competition? And the child grows up and becomes a high court judge. And this neighbor is still stuck with the urine. The neighbor says,
he certainly is.
He used to come in front of my house and pass urine. How could he become a high court judge? Maybe he must have bribed or must have cheated, or maybe the whole system is just corrupt. How could this child who passed urine and stole in front of my house become a high court judge? Yeah, this is proper example. This is what happens. This is what happens when we depend on the world to give us that validation and that acceptance. People, that story about the donkey and the couple. They were trying to carry the donkey, and the people criticized, what nonsense, you're carrying the donkey. And they sat on the donkey, and then they criticized, how cruel of you guys, you're sitting on that poor donkey and burdening him. And then the man decided, let me put the wife on the donkey and walk. He was walking and the wife was on the donkey, and people said, such a horrible husband. Such a henpecked husband. He is walking and making the wife sit on the donkey. He's such an idiot. Then he decided, let me sit and make my wife walk. And you can guess what people said about that. So So people will never shut up. They will always talk because they have no life of their own. So we should just tell people, go get a life, and we try to live ours. Actually, that was Arjuna's concern, that people will look at him and say, he killed all his relatives and there's nobody, he was concerned about all that. And Krishna said, don't think about, those are the needless fears. I mean, I don't know, Mahabharata is such a, like gives chills when you think. Arjuna, Yudhishthir, the Pandavas, Draupadi, they were going to lose all their children in the war. They were everybody's going to die. Abhimanyu is going to die. The 5 Pandavas' sons are going to die. Everybody is gone. So what pleasure is there in doing this? So the point is, it is very difficult to do Krishna's will sometimes, but only if we have that, if we feel ourselves in the prison and we looking outside and we want something else, then it's difficult. But if we don't have that prison wall, and me and Krishna's will is one, and I'm willing to do anything Krishna wants, there is no struggle. Wow. I want that. I so badly want. Really want that. I want that bar and that wall, right? Of the feeling. If I will only feel that I'm imprisoned, if there is that wall and I'm looking outside and I'm thinking, I want to go there, I want to do that, I want that. Only then there's prison. But if I don't have that wall anymore, I don't want anything else but Krishna's will, then I don't feel in a prison. That's what happened to Arjuna. He got freed from that conception of prison, because for him to kill Bhishma and Drona and fight this war, he was feeling like I am stuck now, I'm in the prison. And then when Krishna helped him, then he could remove that wall. And he didn't separate himself from, oh, I don't want to kill, I don't want to do that. He didn't have all those wants and needs. He just said, Krishna, whatever you want, I will do that. So life becomes
That's the true meaning of the word freedom, isn't it? You could be anywhere in any situation, but if you're free, like what you've described just now, then that's freedom.
Yeah, it's true, eh? Yeah. Accepting, like, for example, in this, actually, we need to also end I forgot, the time is running. Last example. In this Ayurvedic treatment, there's the 7 days of fasting and just drinking ghee, medicated ghee. And every day they increase the quantity. Oh my God, just thinking about it, I'm feeling nausea. So, it's very difficult to do it. When I started doing it, first day, second day, I was really feeling like in a prison. And then the doctor explained the benefits of it, how it helps your brain cells and how it does A, B, and C, everything. The 3rd day and the 4th day and the 5th day and the 6th day, I started to do it with willingness. Voluntarily, I took that austerity. I mean, I'm telling you, that ghee tastes awful. Awful. And the last day, they give you 250 grams, like more than this plus another 550 ml. You have to drink that whole thing, and no eating, right? You won't feel to eat after you drink so much ghee. But I had that realization when I meditated upon the result of it, right? Then I was able to take it up, and it wasn't as austere as the first day and the second day, although the first day and second day was only this much and this much to drink. But the next days were increasing in quantity. But I was seeing that, wow, I'll be able to do better service. I'll feel my brain cells nourished. And it was so much more easy because I accepted it. So like you said, when there is no wall, that's freedom. I did it out of choice and there was no struggle. So if only we can all out of choice accept Krishna's will, there is no struggle. Everything will be as Krishna wants.
Yes, and you make a lot of sense. You asked earlier, does this make any sense? Everything you said has made a lot